Within this series so far, we've talked about Director and all the different things you can do with it as you're installing, running, managing it, containerization, encrypted traffic, all kinds of things. But now we're going to get into the meat and potatoes of it all. We're going to talk about orchestrations. Orchestrations, or an orchestration file as it pertains to Director, allows you to chain a whole bunch of different tasks together. It also lets you chain together different tasks targeted to different nodes in your environment. That's awesome. That's awesome. Via messaging, we can actually direct traffic to particular nodes in your environment and run tasks targetedly across the entire cluster. We can store arguments in that remote node's cache and render templates based on the specific environment parameters based on your deployment characteristics so far. So what does that mean? That means we can use an incredibly simple DSL to do ridiculously powerful orchestration at blazing fast speeds. So this is probably the longest intro I've actually done as I ramble on about orchestrations. So I'm going to stop rambling and show you how it's done. All right, let's go ahead and jump into some orchestrations. So first, we're going to jump into our server where Director is currently running. Go ahead and prove that real quick. Director client, totally running. Director server, totally running. So let's go ahead and escalate our privileges and jump into our virtual environment. Now within our virtual environment, there's not a ton to look at, but there's a lot of stuff that's really interesting. Go ahead and take a look at Share. Share has a Director directory. Within that, we can see orchestrations and tools. Now remember, when we installed Director using what was inside of the tools directory. That was within the repository that we git cloned specifically. Well, all those same things are actually shipped with Director under Share. Here it is. You install Director, all those tools are available to you. One of the other directories that comes with it under Share is Orchestrations. These are orchestration examples that we're already providing out the door. There's a lot of stuff that's very cool here. There's a lot of stuff that you can do that's very cool here. What I'm going to hone in on is the functional test example. And we're going to go ahead and use that orchestration to run a whole bunch of different things in our Director environment, which at this time is only the single node. Let's go ahead and take a look at our list nodes. All right, we have one node, it's valid, it's functional, and it'll expire in 145 seconds, which if we watch, we'll go ahead and reset as soon as the next health check checks in, which should be here in about 9 seconds. All right, there it is. It's checking in, everything's happy. So let's use the orchestration command. Here we are with our help. We can see we have orchestrate, exec, server, client, manage, bootstrap, etc. Right now, we're going to hone in on the orchestrate command. Let's take a look at all of the different things that it provides. Very similar to the exec command, we can orchestrate, targeting specific nodes, restricting tasks to a specific task. Remember, in our exec example, which I will put a link to that video up here, we had the ability to take a look at the SHA-1 of a particular job. With restrict, we can actually say, hey, just run this one thing. Right? Because an orchestration file consists of a whole bunch of different jobs that we want to run. So if I only wanted to run one, I can run the fingerprint for that one job. Very cool. We can also target specific nodes. With Director orchestration files, if you do not provide a target in the file itself or a set of jobs, it will run everywhere. If you want to run just to one node or several nodes, you can provide an explicit target. That's true if the job definition provides for anything. You can actually set the overrides for the targets themselves, but target is there so that you can ensure everything is working against your desired nodes, your desired outcomes. Ignore cache is there as well. If I want to tell Director to ignore all the cache across an entire infrastructure and just run everything, please, for a particular set of commands or an orchestration job, I can do that. The ignore cache will just simply say, if anything has been run it again. By default, the Director will go ahead and take a look at what's in your environment and if it has been run, and only run the things that have not been executed or not been executed successfully. So this allows you to rerun something. Let's say it's an update. Like, here's all the same packages, run it again because I think there's new versions of that package, and you want to upgrade or update everything across your cloud. The ignore cache allows you to do that syncly. And just like exec, we can pull. So we can say, run all the jobs, or we can say, run all the jobs and wait for every task to be completed, success or fail, before releasing the client. So let's see how it works. We have orchestrate. The orchestrate says it takes string or many strings. That means that I can run functional tests, or example, or host setup, or MariaDB, or sync curve keys. I can chain different orchestration files together for my liking. In this case, we're just going to run functional tests. Now, just like everything else, let's investigate what functional test looks like. Here it is. It is a YAML file that starts as a list. The key inside of that list is jobs, which is another list. And just like our exec command, it starts with a verb and then what I wanted to do. So in this case, I wanted to run hello world. Then I'm going to tell it to run skip cache hello world. Then I'm going to tell it to run once hello world. And then I'm going to copy some files and grep for some files. And then I'm going to copy some files and set the ownership and grep for those files. And so on and so forth, right? This functional test file allows you to take a look at everything that's happening within your environment and provides a good example of what is possible. I can blueprint files, run once, set ownership, run specific commands, take the output of specific commands, store them as arguments, create directories, lots of very cool stuff. So we're going to go ahead and run that and take a look at what that means when we run it by default with no flags. That's it. Director received the jobs and things are running. We take a look at our jobs. We can see since our last execution where we were doing our different failure examples and with exec, here's everything that has been run. So in order to show this more succinctly, let's purge those jobs. We'll run it again. And we'll ignore the cache. Here's all of our jobs. Everything that was run. And all the time it took to run them. Right? That's awesome. So if we take a look at our success, right? Just look for success. And then count the number of lines. We can see we have 28 jobs. And we can also see that those 28 jobs took 0.19 seconds to execute. Now let's take a look at what was run, right? That number 28 matches up with the total number of items. And we can see that the execution time for all of those different items was 0.19 seconds. Pretty awesome. Now, if you wanted to run the functional test again, but this time you wanted the client to block on the completion of all the different jobs, you could pass in pull. Crazy quick. Now let's add a wait time to our functional test, right? We basically want to get right around here. And we're going to run sleep 5. So it's going to sleep for 5 seconds. Now we're going to run that pull again. There's our sleep, and it carried on. So as you can see, we simulated something taking a little bit more time, and then we pulled for the completion of everything within the environment, and then let it run. Now we can take a look at our jobs again. And we can see here's all of our jobs. All of the different jobs we've run so far. Each job gets a unique ID. When we take a look at the job info, we can see exactly what it did and how it did it, why it did it, and we actually see a little bit more information. When you run orchestration jobs, the orchestration parent, right, the top level job, the conglomerate of all the jobs that are within your file, within that job entry, gets a parent ID. What is that for? Well, it's for tracking, right? So that within the job itself, we can actually link a parent ID to a particular task. And we can say, okay, well, this group of tasks failed because here's that parent ID, and then it pertains to these different job IDs. And we can see there's the job 1 sum. We can restrict to just that job 1 sum if we want. So let's do that. Right? We can restrict to just that job 1 sum. Now within this orchestration execution, I only got 1 job return. Now I only got 1 job return because I told director to only run 1 job. You can pass in multiple restricts. So if I wanted to run multiple different jobs, just these 1 jobs, I could pass in the unique fingerprint, the SHA-1 sum of that task itself, and say, only do this 1 thing, please. Now, this job, this task, copied a file. It added this file from there, which means it transferred it over the wire. We can also see that it blueprinted it, which means that it took something that had Jinja expandable variables within it and populated those variables as information. So if we cat that file, we can see this file has this contents. And now we can actually go back up and see the original file and see that it had all that content. All of those different variables were brace expanded from what we passed in as arguments in our orchestration task. Getting into the nitty-gritty of all of the different mechanisms that are at play here is beyond the scope of these simple tutorials. But know that we can set arguments, whether those be command line arguments like we explored with our execution tasks, or specific arguments that are available as a verb within your job definitions, and we can brace expand files by passing in the -- blueprint flag. That's part of the add spec, which is available both as an orchestration task or as an executable, right? Everything is using the exact same DSL, whether you're using orchestrations, which is very simple to use. All it does is group your logical tasks, which can easily be executed on the command line if you want to run them specifically, or you can set in the unique restriction for a particular task or a collection of orchestrations. It's awesome. It's very cool stuff. It's very powerful stuff. And the more we talk about it, the deeper you can go in how much you can do with these things. What's awesome though is that it's as easy as run thing, add thing, copy thing. Crazy easy. There's no need to overcomplicate deployments with ridiculous definitions. All we have to do is run what we want, get our return, provide a successful outcome as quick as possible, and get out of the way. And that's what this does. Orchestrations take care of these things for us in powerful ways. And that's really what I wanted to convey here. We can do lots of very interesting things with orchestrations without having to spend a ton of time developing them. You can literally prototype it in minutes and deploy it to a production system without breaking a sweat. Prototype to deploy, get out of the way. What's awesome about a lot of these things is that Director provides a simple to understand interface, which you can leverage in unique and advanced ways. You don't have to make things complicated. They can just be task-driven, success, high five. You want to expand a whole bunch of stuff and set a whole bunch of different arguments and provide cache files and then lookups across servers and run containers, you can do that too. But Director is designed to be simple to use. That's it. It's simple. It's easy. It lets you get the outcome you want and move on. It does not try to be the thing that runs everything in your environment. It simply is the operator tool that I want, and I think will be beneficial to you. I hope that wasn't too much, as we talked about orchestrations and a lot of the different things you can do with them today. Day one, you can jump into Director with orchestrations and use powerful orchestration across your cluster at incredible speeds. So what's next? I don't know. The sky's the limit. This is brand new software. I'm still writing, I'm still developing, and I'd love to hear from you. Let me know what you think about the software so far. Let me know if you've tried it. Let me know if you think this is useful. If you do, let's collaborate. Let's talk on GitHub. Let's talk on Discord. Let's talk on YouTube. Let's talk on Twitch. Follow me across my various social medias. It's all Pesnuts, as the little thing says. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it was informative. I hope that you're finding what we're doing with Director to be interesting. Please reach out if you have any questions, feature requests, bugs, issues. It's all very beta. It's all very much in development. What's amazing here is that this is all very new software, but it's stable enough to be used today, and it's stable enough to be used in unique and fun, interesting, exciting ways. What comes next? I don't know, but we're going to figure that out, and we're going to figure it out together. So leave a comment, information in the description box, follow me on various social medias, and yeah, hope to see you again online soon. Thank you very much.